What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp here for the Fightful.com podcast. November 9th edition. This is the first of two podcasts we're doing today. We very wisely did not do a podcast last night because I think about 4 people would have watched it live. Obviously, election night. We will talk about that against my better judgment towards the end of this show. I'm not going to subject anybody who doesn't give a shit about it to it, but yeah, I figure we'll talk about it a little bit, maybe a lot of bit. But we had a Smackdown show last night, and I am joined by Jeff Hawkins, by the way, guys. But he's on some show called Shake Them Ropes. We'll talk about it later. Jeff, I think that this Glasgow crowd got a much better show on Tuesday than what the Raw put out Monday. Jeez, I thought this was a fun show and a newsworthy show.
I didn't even realize that was going to be up for debate. Yeah, SmackDown's fun.
There's a lot of shit up for debate today, Jeff.
Can I tell you that I have come full circle on this whole James Ellsworth story? I can't help but love it every time it's on screen. I loved everything about these segments. I enjoyed the hell out of this show up and down for the most part. I'm loving Alexa Bliss a lot too, but we'll get into all that as we go down.
Oh, we'll be going down all right. Lots of going.
Really?
No, James Ellsworth. Oh man, this guy. The crowd was so into him. They were going guano crazy over James Ellsworth.
This crowd went crazy over him, and the only saving grace of the crowd from Raw was them hijacking for Bayley and making the American crowd realize how they're supposed to respond to her, I think, in my estimation. But yeah, it shocked me that they flew him out for these shows. Good on you, brother. Good on you. And I totally believe from Daniel Bryan that they had to get a passport for him. Rushed. That he didn't have one.
I believe that too. We mentioned the other day on Fightful.com that he was in Scotland, and I was like, oh, they're really doing this. They brought him to Scotland. So, hey, cool. Good for him, man. That's awesome. He is an incredibly nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
Just a genuine dude. A genuine dude. But I love how into everything the crowd was. Really, it's like, man, I wish every crowd were like this. But unfortunately, I say that, but WWE doesn't always give people a reason to be like that. The show was fun. Like I said, it was newsworthy. It had stuff that may change the entire landscape of the WWE. It was cool. We started the show with AJ Styles coming out, running his mouth. He was followed by Dean Ambrose, Bray Wyatt, Luke Harper, Randy Orton, Daniel Bryan, Shane McMahon, and James Ellsworth. And I love that.
Baron Corbin, yes.
And Baron Corbin, yes. And I love that AJ Styles was like, nobody's going to fly him in. Nobody's flying James Ellsworth in. The Dean Ambrose is like, well, I did. So, and then they name James Ellsworth the mascot of Team SmackDown. What do you think of that? Of them making him a mascot?
I thought he was going to be one of the 5 originally, if you recall us going over this. So him being a mascot or he being at ringside doesn't shock me. The only question is, of course, the 50-50 proposition. Does he blow this for SmackDown, or does he help them win inadvertently by getting involved? That's the question here. Because it's going to be one of those two things, right? He's either going to blow this again, or they're doing all these things where he blows it and then he ends up pulling it out in the end for SmackDown and he becomes the big hero.
And make no mistake, SmackDown will be the babyface team here.
Oh, they have to be.
With Ellsworth, and people like the Wyatt family, and they'll like Orton tied in with him, and they like AJ Styles, and they like Dean Ambrose, and they really like Shane McMahon.
Yeah, they like Shane. They like Daniel Bryan. They don't like Stephanie. which
Yeah.
which is counterintuitive to then building a brand versus brand match and hoping that you'll have Raw and SmackDown fans when your general manager is so not well liked and goes out of her way to make talent look bad. And it seems like they're the only ones who don't get this, right?
Yeah, it's such a weird notion. It's like, imagine now. Weird that I say Roger Goodell, because sometimes he does do shit that makes you think, man, he really hates us. Mm-hmm. He really hates us. But if he actively got on TV and he was like, Cam Newton, I hate you. I'm like, damn, let's fire this guy. First off, let's get him the hell out of power. Yeah, I don't know.
You know, the corollary I would use is if Goodell came out and goes, you fans need to stop cheering at these games and having fun. Because we're here to have
you don't know what's good football.
Yeah, we're supposed to have a professional sporting event here, and we're all professionals, and you people are making this happy. Go away.
I have said that I wish that's what Hideo Itami would do in NXT. I wish he would do like a Japanese elitist gimmick. Like he comes back as a heel because they're going to be short on like real good heels. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I don't like that you all make noise. You all need to be respectful. And then he sits a few like elitist fans at ringside who will just like clap. And I think that would work for him.
Yeah.
I think that would really work. And you can keep it really limited too. Because what he's done, he's not captured my interest. Well, he's barely had a chance to capture my interest, but it is what it is. Corbin just pieces out. He's like, see ya, and says he's not going to team up with them. And then Shane puts him in a match with Kalisto. This really showed off how much of an asshole that Baron Corbin is, but it got Kalisto over and reintroduced him a little bit as well. I thought that was good, Jeff.
I thought it was interesting. Look, Corbin's acting abilities have a little bit to be desired for me.
Oh, hell yeah, they do.
But I liked that they're giving Kalisto a little bit of heat and even a little bit of intrigue here going into the match with Kendrick for the Cruiserweight title, which I think there's a chance he could win it because that whole stipulation of the division coming over, then that would give them an excuse to have them there for the taping of 205. But then again, you know, they made this big deal about them being on Raw. So either way, I could see it, but it does lend itself to some intrigue, even though it's The bad part about this is neither of the guys involved for the future of the division are quote unquote the new guys that they're using to build this division, so to speak.
Yes.
That's
and Brian Kendrick is the only one with any semblance of character. By the way, we had that news as it broke on Fightful.com. We do live viewing parties of every wrestling show, WWE, TNA, every major MMA show, Fight Pass, UFC. We got a big one for 205 this Saturday, guys. You need to be there for that. Also, we have a podcast later this evening with Showdown Joe previewing the event. Also, lots of interviews, exclusives, podcasts, all that cool stuff. Fightful.com. Check it out. Share the page. All that cool stuff. But, yeah, the thing that I liked about how they transitioned this, Jeff, is Miz and Maurice are backstage with Shane and Daniel Bryan, and they say, why the hell would you risk putting the Intercontinental title up in a match against Sami Zayn, Dolph Ziggler versus Sami Zayn? And they said, well, I'll tell you why. Because we believe in our team and because Raw agreed to put the Cruiserweight title up on the line in the same manner. That makes sense. I love that. Mm-hmm. It's two brands that are confident in their stars. And this really, it puts a lot of things into question. I don't know who's going to win that Cruiserweight title match, Jeff, because SmackDown is essentially 3 hours now. It's just the third hour is going to be on the network. Because that 205 Live, it would make sense if they ended up on SmackDown because for travel and filming and things like that, it would well, I don't know.
It makes sense, and it also then makes sense for the other move that we didn't go into at the beginning of the show, Tom Phillips now being in the booth for SmackDown, which is
4 people?
I think they're eventually going to take Morrow off of SmackDown and put him just on the 205 show. I really do.
Jesus.
I think that's the play here for some reason. Don't quote me on that. A 4-man booth is bad, but to me, it screams of they're going to eventually split off one of these guys into other projects, and I think it's going to be the guy that's not quote unquote theirs, so to speak.
Horrible. I'm genuinely interested in seeing how the cruiserweight situation goes, though.
I agree.
I think it's great how they set it up. It's great. They made a lot of sense of it.
It's what we wanted. We wanted actual stakes for these matches, for these 5-on-5 matches, or for the guys who are participating. And instead, we're getting them for the minor titles, which only helps the minor titles.
Yeah, that's good too. Also, guys, forgot to mention up on Fightful, we've added new photo galleries. Go check those out. That's something we've been working on for a long time. Also, we finally revamped our forums to the V-Bulletin format. We're going to be doing some contests on there, giving away Phil Singer games, DVDs, Blu-rays, other games, autographed books, cool stuff like that. Go over and register at Fightful.com. Use the forums to be eligible for those.
Oh, let's have an on-air production meeting right now. What are we doing about 205 Live?
I can't have you stay up an extra hour. Like,
I can do it.
What time do you get up?
I can do it.
Can you?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Oh man, I hate the thing I like about Tuesdays is I can actually get work done early enough.
Right. I know the feeling because I'm having the same feeling. Trust me. I don't like that it's now as long as Raw, but if it has to happen, it has to happen, right?
I'll cross that bridge at a later time.
Okay.
Based on demand of our audience and stuff like that. Because
end of meeting then.
We do shows every damn day at Fightful. It's not like something's going to go like really uncovered. Some stuff does, but only the things that deserve to go uncovered. Vaudevillains versus Breezango. Breezango are going all in with this fashion police gimmick, and I love it.
Love it. Did you see Talking Smack?
I didn't. I saw Alexa Bliss's segment, but that's it.
They were brilliant on Talking Smack because
I'm sure they were.
Daniel Bryan was trying to throw them off, and they were just rolling with the punches and handing out tickets to both Renee and to Daniel Bryan. It was pretty darn good. They're entertaining, both of them. I mean, if you've watched the videos on WWE.com that they were doing backstage setting up this whole angle, it's pretty darn good. I couldn't be happier for them to be the 5th team over the Vaudevillains. I mean, not that I don't like the Vaudevillains, but I think Breezango has such potential to be something in this division if they can kind of break out of the whole mid-card thing. And the way to do that is in Vince's eyes at least, is to be entertaining, and they're definitely entertaining.
Completely agree. Somebody in the comments section says, show off your retro sweater, Sean. I'm a big fan of retro sweaters.
Oh, nice.
There we go.
If I had known that, I would have worn my retro sweatshirt today.
Oh, man, I love them. Like, I love the things. I need to get some Chicago Bulls ones as well. Somebody says, SRS for governor. I probably have too many skeletons in my closet, skeletons that I don't even know existed, that people would dig up. Like they would find something, I'm sure.
I'll give them something. It may not be true, but I'll give them something.
Somebody says Breezango is so underutilized. Hopefully that changes. They beat the Vaudevillains here. They beat the Vaudevillains here, and they got a spot in that tag match. Good. They deserve a spot in that tag match. They have been doing good stuff on the Fallout segments for quite a while, so I was happy to see them get a win. We had Natalya versus Naomi. Nikki Bella was ringside. Carmella came out to screw with Nikki. Nikki hit her with a forearm.
Natty with the worst whistle on God's green earth.
God.
Or she didn't know how to use it. What are the two?
Jeez, ban whistles from WWE or from wrestling. First off, I didn't like it. I didn't like it when the Coach did it in the early '90s with Mr. Perfect. I didn't like it when Bill Alfonso did it, and it's ruined ECW on the WWE Network for me.
What about Titus O'Neil? Did you like Titus O'Neil's whistles?
Those are probably the least annoying whistles I've ever seen. I feel like whoever invented whistling in general was a real douchebag, because it serves very little purpose outside of a few melody for pop songs and just annoying the living shit out of people.
Look, you're a Kentucky fan. You never get whistles anyways.
Well played.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Naomi beat Natalya here. I've called for Naomi to be better in the ring. She wasn't bad in the ring. She did this like spinning sit out jawbreaker that I liked. That would be a much better finish than her ramming her ass into people's faces at low velocity. Also, her entrance was pretty damn cool. Like, it's always cool, but
yeah,
last night it was really cool.
She was really into it, and it seemed like the fans were really into it last night, so I think that helped.
But yeah, teasing more dissension in Team SmackDown.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Cool. So some of the members of Team SmackDown, Kane was announced for this SmackDown 6-man tag.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like SmackDown seemed like the smarter team until you keep putting members of your team against each other. Why?
Both shows are doing this, though. I mean, they did this on Raw.
It's dumb.
It's terrible. It's terrible. It's to fuel the story of, can these guys all get along once they go into what's the terminology they're using? Fantasy brand fantasy warfare or whatever. Dumb. They literally think they're doing Avengers Civil War here on every single level, and they're not, because I still think these guys at heart, if you're writing it correctly, are mercenaries. So they'd be willing to give up their hatred if the price was right, kind of thing. And you save the dissension for one team as opposed to all 6 teams in all 3 matches. It's ridiculous. It's a lack of creativity, and it's a lack of foresight, because nobody wants to see. They want a reason to root for the team if you're going to do this angle, not a reason to watch the team self-destruct. Nobody likes watching their favorite sports team self-destruct. And you and I have lived through some Bengals teams that have self-destructed, and nobody wanted to see that. Nobody was rooting for defense over offense.
Let me ask you something. Mm-hmm. We'll talk a little football for about 1 minute.
Okay.
Do you think the Bengals have a new kicker by next Sunday?
No.
They have tried some out.
I don't think they replace Nugent. I don't. I think Mike Brown is both loyal and cheap.
Ugh.
Yeah. I don't like.
If not for him, the Bengals would be in first place right now.
Oh, I know. I'm not a fan of Nuge at all, but let's put it this way: I lived through Shane Graham, so
that's true. It's very true. Apollo Crews versus Kurt Hawkins. I don't know the point of this. It's 50-50 booking. Kurt Hawkins is dead in the water.
Holy crap! To do this to Apollo Crews.
Just send him back.
Yeah.
Send him back.
Holy mackerel. I mean, he's had one good night, I think, and that was his debut on Raw. I think that has been his only good night on the main roster.
He is much more useful in NXT right now, both on the road and on screen. Because there are some people that might say, oh, hey, Apollo Crews, and that might not know what NXT is. Check those NXT lineups and say, you know what? I'll go check out this NXT show. I know who Apollo Crews is. Send him back. It's okay.
Yeah.
Bring him back as a heel. That's cool. That might work. Wyatt family versus James Ellsworth, Dean Ambrose, and Kane.
What's the plan, Kane? Don't tag. That was so brilliant.
This was everything it needed to be.
Yeah.
It really was.
The story that this match laid out, just with the climax of everybody cheering yes as Ellsworth tags in and then gets his ass beat. Fucking perfect. Absolutely perfect.
And it kept the Wyatt family looking really strong as a new unit.
Yeah.
With Randy Orton involved.
I'm still imagining the visual of him, very sheepishly tagging in,
looking around. He was really milking the shit too. He's like,
God, yes.
And then he tags and everybody's like, "Here it comes!"
Yes, sweet chin music, and then
no
boom.
chin music.
Yeah, no chin music. Yeah.
Oh my God. It was great.
It was absolutely fantastic. I couldn't have asked for a better segment to end.
And Booker T's going on his radio show, and Booker T, I think the world of you, but saying James Ellsworth is old, you How dare you? How dare you? James Ellsworth has been the glue. He has been the glue on this show.
Yeah. I mean, to think that this guy got over is a minor miracle in itself. But, I don't care how young you are. I care how you play the part. I care if you're good at what you're doing. If he was 40, how old is he? Do you know?
Who is it? Sorry.
James Ellsworth.
Oh, he's not 40. He's like 31.
No. Exactly. He's not that old. Let's not. I mean, he plays.
No. Saying that his act was old.
Oh, his act was old. Oh, okay. Yes. I thought you were saying he was old in age. I can see a little bit of fatigue in that, but they keep doing new and interesting things, and they're building to something. So I have really no issue with it.
Let's see. Last night, SmackDown. Whoo, boy. 1.921 million viewers.
Oh, we skipped a match.
We'll get back to it.
Okay.
1.921 million viewers.
That's it ain't great, but given the competition, I mean, can you blame that rating?
No, I can't. I know what I was watching last night, and I know what I watched on DVR in about 50 minutes today.
Mm-hmm.
What match did we miss?
Becky Lynch and...
We did miss. That's the real main event anyway.
Yeah.
And it's actually up on my screen right now. They set this up to further the angle, obviously. Becky Lynch, after getting dominated through most of the match, rolls Alexa Bliss over into the disarmer, submits her, but Alexa's foot had reached the ropes. There should have been a rope break. How far do you think this goes? What they have, like, what, Roadblock or TLC? TLC's the December show. You think it goes all the way to TLC?
Yes.
But I'll ask you this.
Okay.
Do you think those two get a TLC match?
Yes. I think they get a stipulation match of some kind to match Hell in a Cell. I really liked this match a lot. I think this is one of Becky's better performances. I like that it was pure, almost pure sport for her up until, she got into the straight firing up the crowd thing. But up until then, selling the arm, things of that nature. Alexa Bliss's facials and just gestures and everything are so great up here. And they tell the story. My only drawback is these finishes that they're booking where they're almost being too cute by half by having to require timing to get like a foot on the ropes as she's tapping. When it was obvious she had a reach of the ropes twice before that. It's the old Baron Corbin when he was short arming it and they called it tapping. It's a clever idea, but perhaps it's a little bit too clever kind of thing. I mean, but I have no problem with this feud going on. I enjoyed the match. I thought Becky sold the arm well, did a lot of great athletic stuff here. I love the Quentin Jackson spot with the power bomb on the arm bar. I like that this wasn't goofball, jokey Becky or smug sports entertainment Becky. This was sports Becky. This was NXT Becky. That's the Becky I want mostly. So, nothing but high praise for this from me.
Outside of Becky's shitty drop kicks, I thought this was phenomenal.
Well, who has a good drop kick for the women?
Nobody, and they don't take them very well either. Like,
no.
I can't count the number of people I've been sent videos of saying, you got to check this person out. And without fail, the bump timing on a drop kick is so messed up. But, man, I love these two. I think Alexa's facial expressions, we said this a million times, just the best. The best since William Regal in wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Not just in WWE for me, not just among the women. The best since William Regal, maybe ever for me. Vince McMahon gives her a run for her money. Like, it's those three, in my opinion. William Regal, Vince McMahon, Alexa Bliss.
I love the minor move that she does where she has a downed opponent and she's going to the turnbuckle and she just steps on him on the way.
Yep.
I think that's such a great little dismissive thing that she does. She's really shining on this main roster since being
one of my favorite things to go back and look, like when she really embraced it. She had that just nightmare of a match with Mary Dobson.
Yeah.
At NXT. You remember that?
Yeah.
And she was like, I'm just going to save this by being a complete and total jerk. And she beat the living shit out of Mary Dobson.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Mary Dobson almost killed her. And Alexa Bliss was like, I'm going to save this. I'm going to stiff her. And I'm going to make this work. And it worked for her. And, man, you want to talk about a transformation. What happens when you get a little bit of character? Who says that Apollo Crews couldn't do this?
Right. Yeah, no, he can play heel very easy. I think something to look out for is during this 5-on-5 match on the Survivor Series show, how Alexa and Sasha Banks get along with one another in the ring. Sasha's, I believe, has broken her nose a few times accidentally. Perhaps.
Alexa Bliss played to the crowd very well. WWE doesn't a lot of times like for wrestlers to play to the crowd, but she does it very, very well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's something you should do a little more often. Why not? That's something they pick up in NXT, but then when they get to the main roster, a lot of times they're told not to do it.
I don't understand that. I don't understand the veneer of professionalism when there are so many things that aren't professional on here. He views it as unprofessional, doesn't he?
I will say, like, to the degree Dana Brooke does it is a little weird. Like, Dana Brooke is very, like, NXT live event interact with the crowd, with people.
She's house show. You know what she is? She's house show on TV. She comes off very big and very broad and doing it that way. And that's why it comes off so hokey is that it's very house show Southern wrestling that Vince probably doesn't care for. But yeah, I think Alexa does it well.
And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, like, some of you may never been to a live event, much less one around here. There's a lot of like stalling and stuff like that. I watched Eugene work a match, and it went 12 minutes. And I'm not kidding you. 7.5 of those were him trying to shove his thumb up the ass of an opponent. I watched Shark Boy the next month at this same place work a 12-minute match. 7.5 minutes of that match were him trying to bite the ass of his opponent. I watched Al Snow work a 12-minute match the following month at the same place, and 7.5 minutes of it were him trying to attack someone with head and playing to the crowd with that. There are a lot of like stuff. There's a lot of stuff like that they pick up, and playing to the crowd a little too much is one of those. But Alexa Bliss does it in such a natural manner. Like, it's very, very, very good. Over the moon about Alexa Bliss.
Mm-hmm.
So should we talk about this election?
As little as need be, but yes. You and I have a differing opinion on one thing that's not political that has to do with the election, and I read that today.
What's that?
You want to go to a straight popular vote, and I
No. I do not want to go to a straight popular vote.
Okay. I thought you wanted to get rid of the electoral college, and I was like,
I would like for them to electoral the electorals. I think that more split votes should be enacted.
Like Maine, like on a percentage basis. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's because here's the thing: neither the electoral or the popular really favor Republicans.
Right.
Popular absolutely favors Democrat. We've seen the popular vote go to Democrats 6 of the last 7 elections. But I don't want to say the electoral favors the Republicans, but it betters their chances for sure. But it certainly doesn't favor them. Like I said, I would like to see more splits, more representation of the representation. Now, I don't want us to really reveal who who we voted for or anything like that. I had major issues with the top 4 candidates, like all the way down to like Gary Johnson, like seeming. Quite frankly, and I'm very like right down the middle on a lot of these things, because I think that anybody that's too far left or too far right doesn't have the best interest of everybody at mind. I said this on Facebook. Donald Trump is not an ideal president for me, but I am a 31-year-old white dude in Kentucky who gets paid by Canadians. This isn't going to affect me. It's not going to really change a whole lot for me. I want to buy a house. It might change that, because I don't know how things will work. But I mean, it might change a lot for my black friends, for my Muslim friends, for my Hispanic friends, for my friends who are farmers who rely, quite frankly, on illegal immigrants to do some of the work that citizens or that residents don't want to do. That might have an effect. That might change things for us. It might change things for women. It's really weird because I certainly wasn't comfortable with a Hillary Clinton, and I certainly wasn't comfortable with a Donald Trump, but I sure as hell wasn't comfortable with Gary Johnson or Jill Stein either. I was just like, shit, let's pack it in and do this thing over in 4 years. And I don't know. We'll elaborate. Your thoughts, Jeff.
I live in California, so it doesn't matter which way I vote.
I live in Kentucky, so there you go.
I lived through a lot of elections now. Worry when it's time to worry. Trump was nowhere near ideal to the point where I considered even not voting because I just didn't find either of the candidates palatable. But then you realize it's your duty to vote as an American, so I did. But, I was surprised because I thought when Fairfax County hadn't been called in Virginia, I thought that was going to be the wave. And then I went to bed. I woke up and found out who president was. I didn't stay up for this because I thought it was a foregone conclusion. Look, my spirituality, so to speak, lends me to think that the things on earth are not quite as important as overall, mankind. I mean, how you treat one another is more important than everything else. So that's how I'm going with it. I'm neither happy nor upset. I will worry about, do I have concerns? Oh God, yes. I have a crap ton of concerns. But on the other hand, I don't have such an identity in the political process that it keeps me up at night worrying about it. I will worry about things when it's time to worry about them.
Well, I mean, I've gotten a lot more into it.
I have a lot of, let's put it this way. I'll put this in the filter of all my friends, most of my friends in California are very, very politically active and very, very activist minded. And they think this is the end of the world. And I'm a history student, a former history student. So I know that there have been potentially worse presidents in the 19th century than what we had choices for here. So,
oh, sure. We might have had one a decade ago. So I like to think that I have the best interests for everybody at mind and because healthcare was a big issue. And I've seen two sides of that. When I was real poor trying to make it in this business, Obamacare, boy, did that help me out. Hot damn, it helped me out. That and DDP yoga is the reason why I'm able to do this with my arms right now instead of staying in one position and moving like this. It's the reason why I'm able to go train, why I'm able to play sports when I want to. That's cool. As a middle class person, since I started working at Wrestling Inc. and What Culture, things like that, it's been a big thorn in my side. But I would like to think that, I took one for the team to help people who didn't have it as well as me. Like I said, 31-year-old white dude from Kentucky, middle class. That's basically the extent to how I am affected.
I will give a plug to an article, and it's not by a political journal of any kind, but it perfectly captured, I think, if anybody out there is really bothered or perplexed on how Trump could win this election, there's an article on Cracked. I think the title of it is something to the effect of how Trump made half of America lose their shit. That perfectly encaptures what this election was about. And it was about classism. And you've had it. The town I'm from was at one of those one industry towns. It perfectly tells you the kind of people that Trump appealed to. And it wasn't just, mouth breathing, drooling morons. It was, people who lived in these small towns that got decimated by certain things and are now looking for jobs and things of that nature. So crack.com. A beacon of light in an otherwise dark world.
Yeah, and I hate the notion that everybody that voted for Trump is a racist. That isn't the case. That absolutely isn't the case. But there are a lot of people that see this as the last ditch effort for white supremacists. Hey, with some of the stuff that has come out, I can see that. But maybe it's a last ditch effort for people who want to make their own decisions on healthcare. Maybe it's not a last ditch effort by any means of those who want to take government in a much different direction. One of the things I like about Donald Trump is that he is not, as far as we know, bought and paid for. That's one of the things that he promoted. There's also a candidate named Bernie Sanders who wasn't a self-admitted sexual assailant who also built his campaign on that. Some people said he was a one-topic candidate, things like that. But I don't know. I think there were a lot more comparisons outside of immigration and stuff like that between Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump than a lot of people would care to admit, especially on things like that. There are a couple things that do leave me optimistic, and I'm going to try to stay optimistic about this, although there is no way I thought that Donald Trump should have been president. There was a situation last year where he was, I think, at a debate, and a few of the candidates said, "You donated money to us?" And he said, "Yeah. And then when I called you and I needed something, you were there. It's not my fault that you're a part of a screwed up system. I'm not going to be a part of that." I was like, hey, cool. I can identify with that. I think a major problem is there aren't a lot of people, even within her demographic, that could identify with Hillary Clinton.
Yeah,
I like
that
she stood up for LGBT and minorities and women's rights. All those things are very important, but there are a lot of people who just couldn't identify with her as really having never been through a struggle, and neither has Donald Trump, which is even more mind-boggling.
No,
it was hard to identify with either one of these guys.
I'll clarify for you. Donald Trump had stood for something. You may not have liked what it was, but it was something. It was clear. It was certain policy things. He didn't have answers to how he'd get there, but he stood for them. Hillary basically ran on general good tidings and saying, let's all come together. And people are going to gravitate towards a definite rather than a general.
It's just, it's really, really...
All right, politic
weird.
Time over. Let's talk wrestling
It's not over. There's not a lot of wrestling to talk about right now. It's not really. Somebody says, was anybody a politician before they became one? Somebody says neither was Reagan. Yes, Reagan absolutely was a politician before he became president. He was governor of California. He was head of the Screen Actors Guild, and yes.
that is being politically active, whether people want to admit that or not.
Yes.
Is
definitely. My question is, what's this generation's AIDS and cocaine going to be, Jeff?
Wow, really? Jeez, you got heavy on this show quick.
Just trolling.
Let's see. Netflix for both. No.
Yes. Well, I mean, ultimately, the thing is, we all have to be responsible for ourselves and for others, too. I mean, we can't let some of the topics that were used to run a campaign on that appealed to some less than desirable people become the direction that we take the country. And speeches from both Trump and Obama said what they needed to say in that direction, sort of. Trump called to bring everybody together, but man, this was a real shit show, Jeff.
It was booked like professional wrestling, if you want to do that. Because the hope spot I was watching happened before I went to bed, where everybody was like, Trump's leading in Virginia, and he's starting to show strong in North Carolina and Ohio. And I went, this is a fake. Here comes the Hillary to hulk up and come back and get the win.
Also, Rhino didn't win. He wasn't going to win. I don't know why Fox Sports reported that he won. That was weird.
That was weird because I originally thought he had won, and then they took it back, and there was no way he was going to win that district.
Not a chance. Not a chance. And imagine if he wasn't a famous professional wrestler, how bad it would be. Jesus. Somebody says Jesse the Body Ventura versus Donald Trump. He's threatening to run. I say Jesse Ventura threatening to run.
Jesse's heat has left. There's no way.
Yep.
I mean, that's possibly the most shocking election statewide of my lifetime, because I remember watching that on TV and them going, "You're not going to believe this, but neither the Democrat nor the Republican won in Minnesota. Jesse Ventura." And I just went, what?
Yeah, I remember I was in like 8th grade and those results came in and I was like, what? How'd that happen?
I did a spit dick, as I recall it. Like that. Just
now,
could not
I
believe.
think we can agree that nothing that can happen in the next 4 years in our country can be as bad as that NBC produced Jesse Ventura movie that came out shortly after.
Oh, jeez.
Oh man, that was an insult to every American, every wrestling fan. Jesus, like they insinuated that Jesse Ventura was ringside for the Montreal Screwjob, in which it happened less than 2 years prior. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I think they got Wrestling with Regret. Is that the guy? Brian Zane did a great recap on that thing. Oh, geez. It's so good. Well, no, his recap is really good on it. Wrestling with Regret on the Jesse Ventura movie. That was, as I like to say, guys, a duty. It was so bad. It was terrible. Man. Either way, guys, let's like each other.
Mm-hmm. So what was the injury that Rashad Evans went down with?
He didn't go down with an injury.
Or was it he just got pulled? I think it was weight cutting then, wasn't it? It had to be, right? Did you see him? Did you see that picture?
No, it's something in relation to his physical. In New York didn't clear it, and apparently he said he doesn't know what's wrong, but that fight is off. We'll talk about that more tonight. We're doing a show at 8 p.m. with Showdown Joe, previewing this weekend's big UFC 205 show. We got shit all week long. Mm-hmm. I'm talking features, all kinds of stuff. We're covering Bellator Friday night too from Tel Aviv, Israel. I've got an interview with welterweight champion Andrei Koreshkov that goes up on the site. But yeah, that fight was pulled. I feel bad for Tim Kennedy. After 2 years, he's finally getting a fight. And
yeah, I'm a big Tim Kennedy
fan.
I have nothing but respect for Tim Kennedy for still training and fighting, and then being on active reserve and having to take time off and then coming back, and then the injury, of course. But man, I was hoping they'd find someone for him to fight so I could watch him.
Yeah, I wanted to see him fight, and he didn't seem too keen on the idea of fighting for the UFC after this. Now, he said that they treated him very, very well in this situation, so that's good. WWN Live announces a new contract with Matt Riddle, Fightful.com's own. Now, we, of course, reported this last Thursday. And a quote from Matt when I asked him, what does this mean? What are you allowed to do? And he says, and I quote, I can do whatever the fuck I want, bro.
That's the most Matt Riddle quote to ever be Matt Riddled.
Yes. Then he goes on to say that he can't work for Ring of Honor and TNA. So
actually, you know what? That makes it the most Matt Riddle quote ever.
Yeah, I love it. If you all didn't see last week's show with Matt Riddle, it is up now for non-members. It was our best show possible. It was our best show we've ever done.
It's fantastic. I love it.
I tried for a while. I tried to force it into being like a news show. Then I was like, I'm going to bullshit with this guy for an hour every week. And it was much better. Much better. So tomorrow's Matt Riddle show will be open to non-members from the jump, because we're going to be talking some UFC 205, and I don't want that to be, it'll be past its expiration date by the time we make those open to non-members. But I do highly encourage you to go over to Fightful.com, register for a free account. Go use our forums. We want to make that like a destination for you guys. From pro wrestling, boxing, MMA, old school wrestling. I've got a thread up there about network recommendations that people like, things on the network maybe people haven't seen that we recommend to others. We have music, TV, movies, video game forums, all kinds of cool stuff there. Action figure forums, lots of stuff open for you guys there.
I got a big point on SmackDown we got to get to that we forgot in our rundown.
Yeah, what is it?
Shane McMahon now being in this match. What does it all mean? Does this mean, are we getting Brock Shane for WrestleMania? You think?
I hope not, because that's a stupid-ass match for WrestleMania.
I agree. I was a little bit upset with the tease of Daniel Bryan, although he has to get his digs in. Hey, I can't compete here, but that.
So if that match were happening at a Royal Rumble, cool. It's like Goldberg Lesnar.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want that at a WrestleMania again, but if you're giving it to me on a Survivor Series, I'll take that. Sure, whatever. I'm not. I can't say I'm not spending my whole week covering Survivor Series because I will be, but I spent a couple of months just pumped for the first Lesnar Goldberg match. And when that happened at WrestleMania 20, man, was I so disheartened and just upset and sad. Alex Palowski has a nice feature on the site. WWE Hall of Famers more fit to be president than Donald Trump.
I think Alex is taking this a bit hard, huh?
He is. But hey, understandably so. This has been a circus.
Oh yeah,
and it was going to be a circus either way.
Oh yeah.
Had Hillary Clinton won, this would have still been a circus.
Oh yeah, there's no way. This is the worst election in any of our lifetimes, probably.
Harambe got over 15,000 votes.
What?
Harambe got over 15,000 votes, Jeff.
Oh, gee. Well, if a dead gorilla can do this office.
As if I wasn't in the middle of enough shit storms. I live 45 minutes away from where this all went down. This situation. Now,
so it's a local candidate for you.
It is. It's a local candidate. You know me. I always go for the hometown guy. I do. But people always ask me, like, it's so funny. Like, Harambe is not a thing I expect to get asked about a lot. And I get asked about it a lot being from this area.
Okay.
It's so weird, like at least once a week. And I'm like, why do you give a shit what I care about Harambe? But I think I've made it known before. Here's my thing. I'll go ahead and address this political fiasco.
Oh, God. We've lost half our listeners. Here go the other.
No. Our viewership right now is really good.
Oh, no.
I'm like,
Sean Ross Sapp is talking politics. Everybody log on.
No, I'm serious. I'm looking at our numbers right now, and I'm like, we should probably move this show to Wednesday afternoons permanently. That's how good our numbers are right now.
Okay.
So some dumbass parents weren't watching their kid. It got into an enclosure that it shouldn't have been in. Some ill-prepared zookeepers thought that capping a gorilla was the best idea. Ooh, maybe not the best idea. And because of that, they've been reminded of this repeatedly. They're dumb. The parents are dumb. The zoo is dumb. And I love the fact that they are constantly reminded of how friggin' dumb they are. I'm glad. I'm glad that they can't open their Twitter up
let me
without being reminded. I'm glad that they can't play a game of WWE 2K16 or Madden without seeing the Cincinnati Harambes being created on those. Custom characters, one of the most downloaded characters on 2K17 is Harambe. There are custom courts on NBA games for Harambe. Custom teams made. I like that they can't live this down because it was dumb and irresponsible.
Well, hold on. Let me make you step in it a little then. Why was it dumb to shoot?
Because the kid...
What's the alternative?
Had it coming.
Oh, no.
Just kidding.
Oh, that went down a path I did not expect. Okay.
No, absolutely not. The kid did not have it coming. The kid didn't know any better. Didn't know any better. They did what they thought was best in the moment. But, man, you would think that there would be better measures in place.
I would agree, and I'd agree with the safety thing. My problem is, and here's where I step in it, I don't equate human life with animals. So given the choice, I'm saving the kid because the gorilla doesn't have dreams to go to law school exactly. I respect it as a living thing. But given the choice between human life and animal life, I'm going with team human because I am one.
Hey, yeah, sure. I'm cool with that.
I mean,
Me too. Protect the life of the human over the animal.
Yeah,
for sure.
This is
sure.
This is a beast that we have enclosed in a capturing. I expect it to act like a beast. I don't expect it to go, oh, look, a child. Here, have it back.
Well, the fact that there was a way that child got in there.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean.
Absurd.
Look, if I put a child in prison, I would expect it to be able to break out because children are the most resourceful little things in God's green earth. For some reason, they do things humans can't do, and how he got in there, I have no idea. But yeah,
well, we saw a gorilla do a podcast with us last Monday.
I thought Alex was Harambe for a while.
Somebody says, "Have you ever heard of an effing tranquilizer?" Well, here's why that doesn't work.
Okay,
it takes
time. It takes time.
And they didn't know, and they did it. Boy, man, that gorilla dragged the living shit out of that child.
I have obviously angered someone by when they say, "Have you heard of an effing tranquilizer?" Well, okay, yeah. I've heard of cyanide too. If they had that available,
it takes too long. But I feel like there should just be something else better. Somebody says, "Send that gorilla to Suplex City." I guarantee you, there ain't anybody walking this earth that's going to send a gorilla to Suplex City.
Nope.
The gorilla sent the kid to Suplex City.
Oh God, yes.
Jeez.
Saw that.
Jeez, man. So, I mean, I am glad that the Cincinnati Zoo is constantly reminded of how dumb they were in taking preventative measures and solving the situation. Now, you got to protect the kid's life. I'm cool with that. I can't believe we have spent half the show talking about this ship. That's the state of America right now.
Oh, and if you want to shoot the parents, I'm fine with that too.
Jeez. They might be from around here, so I don't want to.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah, our show is doing very well right now. Leave us thumbs up, guys.
For right now.
Big news. iTunes is here, guys.
Woohoo!
We got the iTunes going. Hopefully, I'm hoping I can, maybe later tonight, I can get this one rolling. Or the Joe show going. I've been sent instructions on how to do it. We've been approved, all that stuff. So iTunes should be ready. Also, you can download it on MP3 at our site, Fightful.com/podcast. Stay on the lookout for columns from Aaron Hayden. All kinds of cool stuff from him. We got one from Jimmy Van coming up. All kinds of stuff from David Tees this week. Anna Bowert's segment did very, very well last week. We had her on the Monday show as our friend Trina is still absent. As I mentioned, guys, Vince Russo, unfortunately, no longer working with Fightful. For those of you who didn't see how that went down, Vince was not motivated to watch wrestling or cover wrestling before a passing in his family, and he sure as hell wasn't afterwards. So we didn't feel it was right to hold him to a contract that, he wouldn't have been happy. We certainly wouldn't have been happy with his output, and you all would not have been happy with his output. So we just thought it was better to go a different direction for everybody. And Vince is still doing a lot of non-wrestling stuff on the Realm Network, and he's doing the Rocky Mountain Pro thing. But, unfortunately, we got to talk about a little more than Rocky Mountain Pro on our shows and in our columns and stuff, but we wish him luck with that. But nothing but love for Vince. He did a lot of great work for us and was very integral in building this site. When I came here, I didn't know what was going to happen. When Jimmy Van hired me, I was like, well, who the hell else are they going to bring on? He told me he was going after Vince Russo, and I was like, that's cool. It's a familiar face. It's somebody I have chemistry with. And I'll say this. Jimmy Van has given this website every single thing I have asked for it, including Alex Palowski full-time, Showdown Joe, Matt Riddle, any writers I've wanted to bring on. He's been more than accommodating in doing so. And we are not done. We are still looking for wrestling, MMA, boxing personalities. So send in some recommendations, guys. But yeah, much love for Vince Russo and best of luck. Lots of cool stuff coming to Fightful.com, Jeffrey. But tell them about Shake Them Ropes.
Well, we are going to be recording about a half hour after I get off of here. Rob's back. Rob also took a trip to Austin yesterday. We'll see if he wants to talk about that. Hint, hint.
Hey, people keep asking, why not Rob McCarran? Rob McCarran's got some other stuff going on.
Yeah, he's pretty darn great, and great things may be coming from him. But we'll finally get around to that stupid Kurt Angle, Shawn Michaels match I've been plugging for the past 4 weeks, I think, and just general WWE stuff, talking about the lead up to Survivor Series.
Lots of cool stuff there as well. Somebody says, Sean Ross Sapp, when are you going to turn heel on the podcast? I think I have before.
I think he already is.
Yeah.
That's
Somebody
sad
says,
when I'm the sweet one. Yeah.
Somebody says, can you get Mr. Glenn Gilbernetti to replace Russo on a podcast for Friday? I thought about that. I've talked with Glenn before, actually. I personally would like to see a thing where maybe I have a rotating guest every week, but it's the same one each week. Like the first week, somebody says, get David Bixenspan. David Bixenspan works for a competitor and therefore is unable to be hired by Fightful.com.
Mm-hmm.
Love you, David.
Mm-hmm.
I've had conversations with wrestlers, with MMA fighters. Some stuff is coming, guys. I'm working on some stuff, but I'm taking my time. That way I can make sure the right thing is on Fightful.com, because Vince is a very tough personality to replicate. I don't want to replicate him. I just want to get someone on here who is as interesting. You all really liked our Matt Riddle show last week, and that's the format that show is going to be from here on out. I'm not going to try to force it into being a news show, because we've got a lot of those. We got a lot of them. And if there's times like where we go a few days without a podcast, I'll probably post a news update. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Leave us a thumbs up. That stuff really, really helps. Somebody throwing out some like other YouTuber names. No, I don't want gimmicks, guys. I do not want somebody who is a gimmick. Absolutely not. That's not what we're about. Anything you want to leave the people with, Jeff, before we go? Maybe
Harambe to be your co-host?
He got presidential votes.
Yeah, he has a national following.
Somebody asked me why I didn't write myself in as constable of the town I live in. I'm not going to say the town I live in. But I was like, well, here's why. Because I feared that my wife would also sarcastically do it and I might win. Because my town isn't big, and I don't want that. Don't you put that hurt on me, Ricky Bobby. I don't want it. Guys, until next time, we are back with Showdown Joe tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern. Matt Riddle tomorrow, I think. He's going to be in New York this weekend for Evolve, so he's got a busy weekend. He'll be at the site of UFC 205, I'm sure. Lots of cool stuff, guys. As always, I love saying lots of cool stuff because we have so much cool stuff. We have lots of cool stuff.
Ooh.
Fightful.com. Lots of cool stuff. Bye.